Hello and Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this Analyst Insight podcast from the Information Security Forum. Many thanks to our long-time listeners for sticking with us. It only gets better from here. I hope we'll continue to keep you entertained and informed in 2024. And if this is your first time listening, then you've joined at a great time as we have big plans for the podcast. That should mean there's more variety in terms of what we talk about and how we do it. If you listened to the Christmas books episode, and if you didn't, I'd like to know why not. You may already have a hint about what we want to do. But to everyone that's listening, if there's something you want to tell us about, good or bad, then please get in touch. mark.ward at securityforum.org is the address to send any comments, ideas, or requests to get involved. What's your story? Let's hear it. Don't keep it to yourself. This episode is all about research in all its forms, the subjects the research team is going to be looking into over the next 6 to 12 months and how we're going to do about that. Quite a few changes are going to be happening. I want to keep you up to date with those. Almost the entire research team is here to talk, everybody bar the boss, so we can be much looser with the language as usual. So running quickly through the usual suspects, we have Paul Watts. Hello, Paul.
I am over turkey sandwiches. I don't want to see another turkey sandwich for as long as I live. Hello, Mark. Happy New Year and all that jazz.
Happy New Year to you, Paul. Hello, Max. Max Brook, you're here as well.
Hello, Mark. Happy New Year, everyone. I don't know if we want to let our listeners in on the secret that we're actually recording this pre-Christmas and pre-festivities.
What? Come on.
All out there, little extra
For goodness sake, Max, you've spoiled the surprise.
I know we commit to radical transparency, but come on, that's going a bit far.
You get extra Brussels sprouts now for that.
More turkey for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Mind you, you're a vegetarian, aren't you? So maybe that wouldn't work.
Vegetarian turkey. It's the future.
Is there such a thing?
Now, I think.
There is now vegetarian turkey. Max, tell them about your pizza. So Max went into a Pizza Express yesterday. I have to tell you this story, and he's done his usual thing of going up and down the menu, of being really indecisive, and he's gone for a pizza which is called Pollo ad Astra. And he said, "Can I have the Pollo ad Astra?" I said, "But I don't want the chicken." So I basically said, "You want an ad Astra then?" Which point the waist just burst out laughing. So he's invented a new Pizza Express pizza, basically.
That's quite a good name for a pizza, to be honest. To the stars.
Yeah,
Based on a movie.
Exactly.
Was it tasty, Max?
It was somewhat lacking, because I think I really did take off a key.
Yeah, lacking chicken, because you took it off.
End of it. Anyway, finishing the lineup, we also have Lee here. Lee. Hello, Lee Munson. Come on down.
Happy Halloween, Mark.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, what month are we recording this in?
I don't know. I've lost track.
Whose Easter egg is this?
And also here is Richard Absalom. Hey, Rich.
Hello, everybody. Happy whatever day it is.
We've lost all hope.
Happy April 5th.
Do we celebrate?
May the force be with you.
Is that Walpurgis night or something like that? Lammas Day? I don't know. So
it's actually National Cardboard Box Day. Google it.
What?
No, I'm lying. Of course it's not. There's no such thing.
It's like the birthday elephant. Doesn't exist. So, gentlemen, what's on your minds? Let's talk about research.
Well, I'm trying to get past the fact that the birthday elephant doesn't exist.
No.
Well, you've just ruined it for everybody.
No, I did try to convince my kids about the birthday elephant, and it almost worked. But they're too cynical. But anyway, we should probably talk about research, given that's what we do for a living, and that's what this is all about. I'm going to pick somebody. Max, what are you going to be doing next year in research terms?
Designing a new pizza.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that the big one really, and the big ticket item for myself and you at the moment, Mark, and the rest of the team is Threat Horizon, which we're at the moment in those sort of very last stages of writing. And when this podcast releases, we won't be far off that launch date as well.
Yeah, I think this is going out early January, so we should be doing not the final things, but just finishing that those late edits and things like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because we're just before Christmas, we are going to be asking lots of members for their thoughts on some of those early threats that we've put together, and trying to make sure that it's we can start to build that community around it. And that's been really interesting because I think having done Threat Horizon a few times, it does feel much more engaged for sure, because we've got that contact with members and we're getting some really good direction from it as well. So I mean that's one of the changes we're making to it. There's got lots of others as well.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. Obviously, listeners, our members are aware that Threat Horizon we really changed it and revolutionized it really in terms of our underlying methodology. And whilst we produced a report last year for Threat Horizon 2025, which was the first step in that change in that direction, the last 12 months have been really interesting. I think we've gone on a bit of a journey, gone down some rabbit holes, but actually I think the point we're at now and how the report will look is a really positive direction change. And as you mentioned, one of the big things and areas we thought we could improve to Horizon was around the community and making it a much more consistent sort of presence among the membership and our contacts, and building that community, connecting like-minded peers is, a really key part of that, and something that we think will grow as next year progresses too.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Anybody listening that wants to get involved with Threat Horizon, give us some advice, or just be more involved in the process, because that's one of the other things that will change next year. Is we're going to keep things running. Threat Horizon appears in January and then disappears for quite a long time, and we want to try and make sure that it doesn't do that anymore. Still sorting out the details, but yeah, it'll be a constant presence, and we'll be bothering lots of people about it for a long time. Moving on then, Lee, what are you up to?
So at the time this podcast goes out, I should be applying the finishing touches to a briefing paper that will demystify encryption key management.
Ooh.
And also will go some way to demystifying the risk from quantum computing in that realm as well.
Cool.
And then after that, I'm very much looking forward to what should be a series on artificial intelligence.
All right.
And given that's a few months away, I have absolutely no idea what it's going to cover yet.
Well, I did obviously the AI paper last year, because I remember when this is going out, and I've got a ton of references, so yeah, I'll throw them your way. And because there's a couple of ways we can take that. One is to do with AI and InfoSec, just how you can apply it there, because we certainly, Max and I, heard a lot of members talking about that as a potential threat and a problem as well. There's that aspect of it, and then there's the what the bad guys are doing as well. But I'm sure there's all kinds of other ways that it'll go as well.
Yeah, I think just to jump in there, Mark, is as you touched on it then, and Lee, we're doing the series, and obviously as things evolve, it'll be a really good way of us trying to include or connect Threat Horizon up with some of the research as well that we do, and have that more consistent and sort of formalized connection between the two going forward.
Yeah, I think we'll get to that in a moment, but just how sort of we're trying to synergize things. That's a word, isn't it? How to link things up, to say it in more approachable English. But yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Rich, what are you going to be doing? What are you up to?
Yeah, so a large part of my role is quality lead at the moment, so I get to oversee early draft through to final drafts of pretty much all the stuff that you guys do, and that is always a pleasure. As you can't imagine.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know. So no, I spend a lot of my time pretty much working on what everyone else is working on, which is obviously very interesting. It gives me a good view across the kind of whole portfolio. But more specifically as well, through at least the first 6 months of next year, I'm going to be having a look at old releases, so older research that members may or may not know about. I think often we do this because people essentially don't know about it. They might not be able to find the things on ISF Live. They just might have joined recently. They might have missed the announcement when they went out first time. But we've got a lot of research that tends to stand the test of time because we're not too technically focused a lot of the time. We're talking about concepts and strategies to improve information security or security leadership, governance, all kinds of areas. It means that our reports do tend to stand the test of time pretty well, but we do have to check back on them and check they're still up to date. So we're going to take an approach looking at a few different topical areas and just working out which one of those areas to approach first and come up with a suite of both new and older research, kind of rebranded, repackaged, potentially updated. So some of the reports might need quite a lot of update, like new research, new facts, figures. Some of them we might decide they just need to be archived, essentially, or kind of superseded with newer research.
I think that paper on securing 8-inch floppy disks is probably on borrowed time.
We only produced that a couple of years ago, so
exactly.
we'd have to move that one on. But there's some good stuff in there, and we want to make sure it's all being presented. It's up to date. It's new branding, etc. We want to give people access to good graphics and stuff, and essentially help answer as many questions that members have as possible and help answer those issues. And yeah, we do often find that you can go back to our older research and we've got answers there for you.
Yeah, I think that's because the impression I get is with some of our membership as well is that there's quite a lot of not new starters, but people are new to the ISF. So it's not surprising that they don't know the depth of that catalogue and the archive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, things we can do to sort of get that in front of them. Say, well, yeah, if you want something on that, then it's right here. And we certainly answer quite a few questions like that on ISF Live, just pointing people at the right kind of stuff, which is fine, because that's what we're here for too. Yeah. Sounds good stuff. And are you all done with measurement now? Or is that keeping going?
That's a good point. So the accelerator tool, measuring security accelerator tool, went out in the end of September 2023. I'm similar to what you guys are doing with Threat Horizons, trying to start building up a little bit of community of users. So we're looking at having a couple of roundtables with people who are using it, just to understand how they use it, what could be improved. With the idea being, over time, if there is enough demand amongst the membership, if people like the tool, if they want to see more, it is something we could potentially do further development on. I'm making no promises on that. So again, if people want to talk about it, both positive and negative, we know it is a proof of concept tool when it was launched, so we expect there are lots of things that we can improve with it. But we want to hear both, how people like it and how they think it can be improved. Yeah, get in touch, let us know. The more data we have, essentially, the more idea we have of how many people are using it, the easier it is to make a decision on, we can invest the resources to turn this into something even more useful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good stuff. Paul, what the heck are you up to next year? I think you're busy, aren't you? There's a couple of things you've got going on, not just the
Yeah, I mean, they get their money's worth out of me, I won't lie, but you know what happens when I'm idle and doing nothing? I get mischievous, and nobody wants that. So we're going to be continuing our conversations on the role of the security leader. So in 2023, we looked at the relationship between security and business value rather than banging the drum of the compliance culture and trying to look beyond that. We looked at the emergent role of the business information security officer. Time for a little bit of a reflective mood. So the next paper in the series is going to be spending a little bit of time challenging the resolve of our good selves. So we say we're always really busy. Are we? Why are we? We say that we're the most important people in the room and nobody else gets it. Are we? Should we? We say we need to have a seat on the board. Do we? So we're going to be looking at those things and maybe turning the guns on ourselves a little bit and being a bit self-reflective. And then we're then going to think about the future likely outcomes for if we carry on doing things the way that we are, or if we change our ways, or if we adapt the role to more align with what businesses want. How's that going to pan out for security leaders? Are we on borrowed time? Are we going to be a very different role in 5 years' time? Are we going to integrate into business? Who knows? But we've got to explore some of those scenarios and see where that takes us. And then after that, we'll probably go back to some of our aged papers on security leadership, get them updated and integrate them into the series so that we've got a good suite of papers talking about security leadership.
All right. Do those older ones say very different things? Because the reason I say that is because I looked at the governance paper, obviously, before I did the governance research, and that was really old school. Not that it was bad, but it was pretty belt and braces. Really, things have definitely moved on a lot since then.
Yeah, look, I have a theory, and I will explore that theory. And I think that theory is that we need to move away from the safe space of GRC and start to think a bit more differently about the purpose of the role in the grand scheme of business and industry and trade. That's the kind of working hypothesis, and we'll build a little bit on that. And of course, we're also keeping a very, very close eye on what the SEC are doing and how the SolarWinds case pans out and what that means to things like liability requirements for security leaders and the air cover and the impartiality or partiality that the role needs to have or not have. So we'll be looking at that and keeping a watchful eye on that as well. So expect some blogs, even some podcasts, perhaps talking about that a little bit more as well. Yeah. And then a little bit of bad news for the UK chapter. I'm going to be taking a bit more interest in our UK chapter community in 2024. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the first chapter meeting in March. But yes, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me in the UK. And apologies for that in advance. But that doesn't mean that we won't be talking about leadership in other chapters as well. That will absolutely continue. So yeah, a lot going on this year, Mark.
Yeah, well, I think as well we've got some podcasts to do about the BISO paper you did as well. But if we can get some of the UK chapter stuff and turn that into podcast, that'd be awesome. Because there's a lot of good practice, and we can certainly share there. I think as well we should talk a bit about how we are reorganizing research as well, because Rich, you've been around longest, so I'm going to come to you for this. But in terms of we used to set our plans out for sort of the next 12 months, but it's now we're doing it on much shorter basis. I just think 6 months is how far we're working ahead, and behind that as well, there's some changes to the types of papers we do. So yeah, I mean, there's good reasons for that, but I'm not just that. We want to react more quickly to things, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. The biggest one is, we want to be agile and be able to respond to events or trends as they happen, or get ahead of a trend, probably in some cases. So especially, AI, you could say we're possibly a bit late now with some of that stuff. We got ahead of it a few years ago, but waited a few years, and now it's ahead of everyone else. And streaking ahead, actually, to the point where Skynet is 3 years away. But no, it's. I think it's positive. We're not changing for the sake of it. I think we're listening to what members have said. We used to have a focus on we're going to deliver things. 12. This is what we're going to deliver 12 months in advance.
Yep.
We're trying to have a certain number of different type of papers. Like we're trying to do 2 longer solution development workshop based reports in a year. And a lot of the feedback we're getting is they were too long, for instance. So
it took a while.
They did take a while to produce. So there was always a long lead time between the idea or the challenge or the question being asked by members and us actually producing an answer. And the answer was very good, but long and detailed and sometimes hard to digest. So we're not moving away from them altogether. We're saying we will use that format as and when it is necessary. So, if we get a topic that comes up, so, the ones that we did the year before last on governance and measuring security, absolutely, these are big, thorny topics. They needed a big piece of research. So we're going to give ourselves, that kind of bit of agility to do that.
Yeah, because we've pioneered things with the insight papers on ICS and obviously leadership as well. And we've got more expert opinions and things like that happening. So, I think but I think we are trying to get more reactive. And I think with Max as well, with Threat Horizon, the idea for remaking that is to make these things more useful, isn't it? Sort of show how you can use ISF materials to solve a problem and do that quicker as well.
Yeah, I think from the Threat Horizon perspective, it's largely about being responsive and allowing us to give prompt and timely advice to members and explore some of these critical challenges, but also as well, if we're doing some more of the short-term research and being more agile, allow us to identify gaps as well, and where we can actually produce the next piece and we can fill that in and be probably more proactive than reactive in the way that we address these security concerns going forward. Yeah,
well, because we'll have a lot more contact with members. Not that we didn't have any before, but I think there's a lot of very different things come out of that closer contact and those. Not least because as researchers, the more information you take in, you can step back and go, oh, hang on, there's something bigger happening behind all that as well. But here's a question for you all. If we're kind of becoming a rapid reaction force, are we becoming like the Thunderbirds? And who wants to be brains? That's a reference that Max is going, what the hell are the Thunderbirds?
What's a brain?
Well, I don't know, Max, is there an equivalent for your age group? Who was the well-equipped?
Paw Patrol.
I was going to say Paw Patrol.
No, is it Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles?
Probably Power Rangers, I think.
Right.
Maybe.
Wow. Okay.
Do you know what? I really wasn't that clued up with that stuff.
So he wasn't really that clued up, but he still had a little bit of crush on the pink Power Ranger, didn't he? Like?
Right. Lee, you're wearing orange. Are you going to be the orange Power Ranger? Was there an orange Power Ranger? I have no idea.
This is actually red, but before I answer that, what is Thunderbirds? A bit before my time, I think.
What?
Jerry Anderson, come on.
Jerry Anderson, he was in Stargate SG-1, right?
Oh, no.
I think Lee is messing.
I'm too old for Power Rangers.
Right. Okay. Well, what was your equivalent? Ninja Turtles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love the Ninja Turtles. I can't remember which one I liked, but I love pizza, so they're all good.
All right. Okay, excellent. Can you skateboard? Or they were all on skateboards, right?
Are you allowed chicken on your pizzas? That's what I want to know.
Back to that. Maybe that's the question we're answering next year. We'll do investigation of pizza toppings.
Well, one of the when I was the CISO at a famous pizza chain, one of the most divisive conversations that was always had, and let's offer this out to the listeners, and if anybody wants to give us their views on this, then do you put pineapple on a pizza or not?
No.
Come on.
I
We
think
don't mind causing controversy, but there might be a step too far.
Yeah.
So I think it's a crime
too hot
against
to handle on
humanity.
a podcast like this.
I mean, you just don't. You just don't.
Right.
I'm just going to say, when we ask those kind of questions, it's very luckily we don't have a massive Italian chapter. To our Italian members, I do apologise.
To our Italian members, I do apologise if you have to endure or witness the sight of somebody putting pineapple on a pizza.
Indeed.
Max, as a vegetarian, have you ever had pineapple on a pizza? Isn't there a Hawaiian pizza? Doesn't that have...
Hawaiian?
Yes, but it doesn't make it right, does it?
I don't personally understand having fruit on a pizza like that. I'm sure that you can argue what constitutes a fruit and what doesn't with some of the toppings, but yeah, not for me.
You mean like tomato?
Yeah, well, exactly. Tomato is technically a fruit. So,
a tomato that identifies as a fruit. Okay, now we've really got into a weird place.
2024, is it going to carry on like this?
I suspect we've started as we meant to go on, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I think one of the themes in Threat Horizon, the next Threat Horizon, is social division. Maybe we haven't explored the pineapple axis,
strongly opinionated people. Yeah.
Pineapple,
people
no
are going to group
pineapple
together
axis.
in between pineapple pizza eaters and otherwise. And what might that do for your information security posture?
The trouble is, if we fragment the membership too much, Congress is just going to be a big dust up in the car park. We're never actually going to have any member presentations, are we? We'll be arguing over, we'll be throwing pineapples at each other, or worse, pizza bases.
But Rich, I was going to say, because I've been at the ISF for 3 years or so, almost 4, and it's changed a lot. But are you sort of surprised how much we've changed? Because it's not stopped yet as well. I mean, just to our listeners, keep an eye on things, because ISF Live is probably going to change, and just the way that we structure some of the materials and give them to you is definitely going to change. But yeah, are you surprised how much we've changed?
Yes and no. So for context, I've been here, it's going to be 8 years now. I know they can't get rid of me. Keep trying. But it's an odd company to work for, let's put it that way. In many ways, it's good. Otherwise, you don't stay somewhere 8 years if you really don't like it. But it's we're seeing a lot of change. I think quite recently. Maybe it's like change happens very slowly and then suddenly all at once. But as well, we'll still, I think, have the same value core aim at heart, which is to improve cybersecurity. So everything we're changing and everything we're trying to do is about improving the way we do things, providing valuable research and tools and meetings and events and services to members. That's all we're aiming to do. So
that's true.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. I'm quite excited about the changes we've got coming. There's going to be some hard work for us to get them right, but I think they'll certainly help in terms of from our point of view, from a research point of view, just getting good, concise, impactful, valuable research in front of people as quick as possible.
Yeah.
While maintaining that level of quality and we pride ourselves on putting a bit more time and thought into it than most other analysts, which I think we're still going to do.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, your quality lead. It's all your fault if we don't.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that the industry finds itself on a bit of a crossroads. So I've spoken. I've been very lucky to have been invited to a number of member organisations to speak to members about where we think everything is going. I do think we are at a bit of a crossroads. It's one thing I always say. I always used to say this to my teams, just to kind of ground them and just to remember that without them, there's no need for us. And I think what's starting to happen now is the value that we bring to our organisations goes way beyond that safe space of policies and governance and assurance and risk. And that means that we have to spread our wings and go a little bit further and transcend those traditional safe boundaries of working with the IT teams and things like that. So And I think a lot of that is going to reflect in the research and the output that we deliver in the coming months and years, because we have to take a big step back and ask ourselves and keep challenging ourselves to say, what does this all mean from an industry and business context and perspective as well, and not allow ourselves to write research that manifests in what I like to call a bit of an echo chamber. We need to be thinking about what we do and its contribution to the ecosystem, the outside world, because as we've said a number of times now, we live in a hyper-connected convergence world where technology and business and people have all knitted together, and it's now hard to see the demarcations between those. So I just think it causes us to reflect on our tradecraft in a slightly different way, and I think and I hope that we're going to start to see that reflected in some of the work that we do. I don't know if you agree with that, Rich.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think not only is that going to happen going forward, if you look at any of our research in the last year or two, it already really is. I think,
yeah,
I'd say we've taken a really business first approach to pretty much every topic we look at. It's, okay, why are you doing this from a security point of view? What's the impact going to be on the business? Or how can you help the business understand the value of security? So we'll definitely continue along those lines.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. I think it's the start of a long journey. It's not going to be something that just goes ka-ching and changes from one state to another. What do you reckon, Max, with Threat Horizon hat on? Are you seeing that now? I think the way that Threat Horizon works now, we definitely already made that transition, right?
Definitely. I think a key point for us in that initial transformation we made last year was about putting security into context. And I think we can do that not just in the way we look at threats and risks, but also just more generally our research too. And definitely we've made a big change in the way we're writing the report this year in terms of putting that business lens on it and talking about threat and risk like we typically do, but also trying to introduce the idea of opportunity as well, and trying to use the sort of language or those conversational pieces that can transcend across the business and will get people interested in and excited about information security and that cyber perspective, because it's not necessarily that doomsday sort of the end of the world is nigh sort of
no, but mind you, having said that, 2024 looks like it's going to be tough. I mean, Threat Horizon does rather make you rather cynical and gloomy, but I think you're right. I think what's one of the big changes we're going to make to Threat Horizon is just how it connects to other tools at the ISF as well, and just applicability, utility, and things like that as well. And I think that's reflecting some of the stuff Lee's going to be doing. It's to do with on the ground type things like encryption, like using AI in InfoSec and those kind of automation and doing stuff for the business, trying to help people cope.
I think that's the thing though. If we have that business angle, or we try and get into different parts of an organization with some aspects of reports, it allows us to, with other elements of it, be more specific and go down into that deeper practitioner level. So in a way, we can actually expand the audience much further and give much more depth and detail to different ranges of people as well.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the things that we really want to be doing in 2024 with the leadership is actually start to engage external stakeholders. So, I plan to start to talk to more of the C-suite, the people who generally are the ones that we're trying to win over, and ask them what they want and what they think and what they feel. And then we can reflect that back into the membership to say, this is what our customer is saying. So how do we reciprocate? How do we balance? And how do we make sure that we are still kind of aligned to their expectations? But then when you think about things like Threat Horizon, how are we able to open their eyes to the threat and the peril associated with innovation and disruption? Most of our member organizations and consumers are moving into a disruptive state. They're embracing digital transformation. They want to exploit the data economy. It's not all unicorns and pound signs. There are some dangers to be considerate of. So how can we help you navigate through those? That's what we want to be doing.
Yeah, and it's definitely not all sort of checklists and policies and compliance either. I think there's some. I think for your leadership stuff, I'm interested and curious and a bit excited about some of those slightly controversial things, because I think there is a lot of InfoSec has a lot of baggage, and it struggles to change sometimes as well. And I think that's going to be interesting to try and not shake that up, but explore it a bit more. Definitely,
it does. And what I would say is that I was a security leader for many years, so I'm almost challenging myself as well. So what we do is not meant to be antagonistic. It's done with love. We're trying to open the conversation and the dialogue so that we can be honest about who we are, what we are, and why we are, and how does that influence the future. And just whilst I've got the talking stick, there's just one more thing I want to say on that. There's something that I've observed in the last year, and something that I think we need to address as a community going forward. We need to be thinking about the workforce of tomorrow. I would love to see younger, newer in industry members joining chapters, communities, coming to Congress, getting involved in research, getting involved in workshops and round tables. Everybody who is listening to this, who is an ISF member, reach out and get involved. It doesn't matter whether you've got 5 minutes in this industry or 15 years. Everybody has a voice, and actually it's about paying it forward. I would rather that the next generation of security workforce don't have to make the same mistakes that we made because we couldn't be bothered to talk to them today. It's about paying it forward. So we have to kind of look at it in two directions. We're worrying about what's happening tomorrow, but we also have to worry about what that means for tomorrow's workforce. So, I would encourage people to start to reflect on that, especially primary and secondary members. Just let newer, fresher faces come into the community and let us help them develop. Personal plea there.
No, I think you're right. I think we're trying to reach some of those folks. We've got some podcasts set up that will try and talk to those newer entrants into the industry. Because I think Max has been, a lot of the conversations he and I have had about Threat Horizon, often starts in Max going, well, why do you do it like that? And because you have very different ideas about it, and it's even though I haven't been here very long, it's quite easy to sort of drink the Kool-Aid and start to believe in everything you've been told rather than sort of question it more. So I think and I think that's why research is going to change because it's there's no point doing it the same way because you're not getting great results. Yeah.
And new doesn't mean young, by the way. New can also mean somebody who has pivoted from a completely different vertical and decided that they quite like the idea of a career in cybersecurity. We know we need that diverse range of skills to come in as well. So, they just as important that they have a seat at the table, and their curiosity and their thirst for learning is something that we support because they can support us too by thinking about things differently.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to think about things differently. Thank you for that, Paul. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues. You can now find ISF podcasts on all major podcast platforms. Look for our page on Audio Boom, where you can subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. The podcasts are also available at securityforum.org, where you can also learn more about ISF research, tools, and guidance. FAB!